Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. Thank you, as always, for joining us tonight. Our Control-Alt-Delete moment. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Trump is resetting the federal government.
Woke as Gonzo. Over the past 2 weeks, our strength has been restored, our spirit has been revived, and a new national momentum has been sweeping across our land. The golden age of America has officially begun. Our economy is roaring back to life. Optimism is soaring. Hope is returning. And we have brought back the words common sense to our government.
He and his cabinet are moving so rapidly on so many levels that Democrats are feverishly trying to keep up. And when they're not filing lawsuits, we'll get to that in a moment, in liberal jurisdictions, they're scrambling to get their messaging in order.
This is a national emergency. In the aftermath of the election, many Democrats needed time to soul search, to grieve, to think, but that time has ended. And that time ended when Elon Musk took control of our country's financial nuclear codes.
Do they actually pay people to write those lines? The nuclear financial codes? Is he kidding me? Now, for liberals, a $36 trillion debt is not a national emergency, but the DOGE crews identifying spending scams, that is a national emergency? Oh, okay. Only now, though, are Americans beginning to really understand how deep the corruption runs in Washington. And courtesy of DOGE and its allies on the Hill, we're seeing what is tantamount to an ongoing brazen theft from the U.S. taxpayers. No wonder the co-conspirators are all in a froth.
What we are seeing unfold is an unlawful power grab by a unelected and unaccountable billionaire puppet master.
Look at what Musk is announcing every single day that he's doing. Elon Musk, take your hands off the people's money.
Take your hands off the people's money. That's funny. Well, the people elected Donald Trump to clean up this mess, and that's exactly what he's doing. In response, Democrats only have hyperbole and, of course, their fallback, lies.
No one elected Elon Musk to have access to their personal data. There's nothing about co-president Musk that is about saving the American people money.
Of course, that's false. He is saving us money, and he is not combing through IRS files accessing people's personal data. That's what Democrats do. Like during the Obama administration when they nosed into conservatives' files over at the IRS. Does the Democrats' pig pile faze Elon Musk, you think? Doesn't look like it, because he knows that the numbers don't lie. A comprehensive audit of federal spending, we've needed it forever, and it shows that billions upon billions of dollars are being blown on moronic projects supported by globalists and, of course, the hard left. Money flows to their ideological bedfellows for things such as $361,000 to queer, trans, pansexual, non-binary, and two-spirit people on how to farm. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbian businesses, oh goody, $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala, $2.5 million for EVs for Vietnam, and $3 million on girl-centered climate action. And what if you are feeling kind of stressed out and you're an employee over at USAID? Well, for the modest price tag of $31.5 million, they hired a consultant to assist you with counseling, organizational resilience, wellness, and work life. Is work-life balance now abbreviated to just work life? I guess so. And while, okay, this is all obscene, we know it, it's still a drop in the bucket compared to what we already knew had happened in fiscal year 2023, when Biden and company blew through $236 billion with a B in improper payments within 71 federal programs. 71. And by the way, it was even worse in 2022. $247 billion in improper payments. Now, try to wrap your head around this. Since fiscal year 2003, again, this spans Republican and Democrat administrations, cumulative federal improper payment estimates total about $2.7 trillion. Now, this means people who got the money and grant recipients didn't qualify for the money that they still received, and that the payments were sent, in some cases, totally in error. So $2.7 trillion over about 20 years. Cannot make that up. But as infuriating as it is that we're funding all of the nonsense and wasting trillions of dollars, it's far more disturbing that you and I are actually subsidizing woke propaganda that's packaged as news. $3.2 million for the BBC Media Action Group. They got 8% of their entire income from the American taxpayers. And of course, we know they all despise Trump. But wait a second. Trump is attacking journalism. That's what the left is saying here. Expect sob stories to start pouring in. But are Democrats really going to defend our funding $268 million worth of grants to news outlets across the globe? I mean, in a mystery novel, that all would end up being some type of CIA front group, because it sure sounds like it. Taxpayers do have a right to know, where is this money going and why? Apparently, we're funding Zelensky's propaganda effort in Ukraine as well. How are we supposed to believe that this qualifies as a free press when it ends up in Ukraine? Because right now it's not free to the U.S. taxpayers. Now, no wonder the Democrats, as we're finding all of this out, as it's being publicized to the American people, and they're really beginning to take it in slowly but surely, no wonder the Democrats are huffing and puffing. They're running to the courts, and they're pulling stunts outside of federal buildings. It looks a little insurrection-y at times, even. Because their playpen is being emptied out. Their toys are disappearing one by one. But for us, this is great. It's money saved. It's woke programs X'd out. Employees who are not needed have to move on. Radicals on their heels. Every day, it's like Christmas morning. And that's the angle.
The DOGE fathers on the loose, and no federal job is safe. Their plan for the deep state: gut it all. Over 40,000 federal bureaucrats have already taken buyouts, and we're only in week 3.
We expect that number to increase, and that alone, just the 40,000, again, we expect it to increase. It's going to save the American people tens of millions of dollars, and we encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer. If they don't want to show up to the office, if they want to rip the American people off, then they're welcome to take this buyout, and we'll find highly competent individuals who want to fill these roles.
Elon and his nerd army have been combing through agencies, blasting away bloat. 20-year-old Dozers are clashing with lazy old-timers who don't know how to use a computer and are calling them idiots. And breaking news, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has just fired 90% of the administrators at USAID. They took a 10,000-man agency and streamlined it to 300 employees. The media is calling it the Trumpocalypse. CNN castoff Oliver Darcy says the American experiment is convulsing before our eyes. And he's flabbergasted that the media hasn't gone into round-the-clock special coverage. Quote, media executives need not fret about being the boy who cried wolf. The wolf is now in the barn and mauling the livestock. The Democrats in the media have never seen a president execute a mandate with speed and precision. The country voted for change, and we're watching representative government in the 21st century. The feds, they call that war.
Nobody wants to work in this type of condition where we're going to be in a psychological warfare for how long?
Other federal workers, not revealing their names because of concern over retribution, described to NBC News fear and panic, an Orwellian nightmare.
Federal workers are worried about payback and psychological warfare. How do you think the whole country's felt for the last 20 years? Having to tiptoe around DEI, hauled into HR for jokes, canceled for an opinion, watching Black Lives Matter light us on fire. A guy wearing a dress raped a girl in the girl's bathroom, and the girl's dad got arrested for raising his voice. A DEI bureaucrat at the Department of Justice making six figures who's going to get a buyout with an 8-month severance deal? They're not a victim. CNN's putting spot shadows on feds like their lives are in danger.
What is the general feeling across government amongst your fellow federal workers right now?
Grief. They're angry, many that are confused, but all kind of grieving in their own way.
How does it feel to be targeted for the work that you're so passionate about? It's okay, you could take your time.
It actually makes me proud of the people that I've worked with and the things that we've done.
CNN spot shadowing a woman who's worked from home and now she's crying because she doesn't want to go back to the office? This is insane. CNN just laid off hundreds of employees to cut costs because their books aren't balanced because no one's watching them. No one's interviewing fired CNN staff, not even Don Lemon. Getting fired isn't a war crime. I've been fired 4 times. And thank God, because it turned out all right. Since when has CNN cared about people losing their jobs? They didn't weep when Biden waxed the Keystone Pipeline workers. CNN's been trying to get everybody fired at Fox for years. If CNN doesn't like what you say, they call your boss, they call your advertisers, they try to bankrupt you and boycott you. Random Americans who crack jokes on Facebook, CNN was putting them on blast, trying to get him canceled. CNN cheered on Biden for firing Army officers who didn't get vaxxed, guys who were willing to die for this country. CNN said, good, get them out of here. CNN's boss can lay off people. Why can't Trump? Bill Clinton fired almost 400,000 federal workers. That wasn't a constitutional crisis. The government had to slim down. Bill and Newt cut the fat, balanced the budget. And Democrats are acting like we're witnessing a genocide.
Let me remind you who set the House on fire. It was y'all. It feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected.
Fire Elon Musk. Elon Musk took control of our country's financial nuclear codes.
House Republicans have allowed billionaire Elon Musk and his gang of thieves to enter the U.S. Treasury Department, fire the people entrusted with secret private information about Americans, and give them that access.
Elon Musk is destroying our federal government. He feels he bought himself a president.
Now we've got Donald Trump and his co-president Elon Musk, and they're just running a wrecking ball through it.
Democrats want to audit you for a $600 Venmo payment. But when Elon audits the trillion-dollar government, they're ready to storm the castle. Why are Democrats shocked? We're putting the government on a diet. Trump and Musk campaigned on it and won on it.
We're going to be very open and transparent and be very clear about this is what we're doing. Here are the issues. This is the math for what's being spent and what, you know, and we're going to make it. We're going to make the spending lower. And if somebody's got a better idea for how to make the spending lower, tell us. But if we don't, we're going to bankrupt the country.
I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. As the first order of business, this commission will develop an action plan to totally eliminate fraud and improper payments within 6 months. This will save trillions of dollars, trillions.
Democrats aren't surprised this is Trump's agenda. They're surprised he's able to execute it. Because after years of incompetence, no one thought anyone was capable of doing anything in Washington. Elon says there's a way to know when you're over the target.
One of the things I remember from the PayPal days was that, you know who complains the loudest is the fraudsters. Okay, so when somebody was trying to commit fraud to PayPal, where we would see the most amount of righteous indignation, like it would be like immediate over-the-top righteous indignation, was from the fraudsters, not from honest people. Because honest people are like, oh, I think there's something wrong with my account. I wonder what's wrong. Let me inquire. But the fraudsters will come at you immediately. It's like a tell that someone's actually doing fraud, because the level of sort of faux outrage is way over the top.
Elon doesn't care about bad press. He's trying to save the republic. It's good cop, bad cop. Trump's the good cop. He's the bad cop.
We're catching them left and right. We're catching them. We're catching them to a point where they don't know what the heck is going on. They can't believe they're getting caught. And I have great respect for the people that are doing it. Elon Musk is helping us on it. And he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
The government's been robbing us blind. We've been writing checks, $6 million for tourism in Egypt. Like Egypt needs help with that. They have the pyramids. We should be spending money on cleaning up California so that tourists can vacation in California. $2 million to help the BBC value the diversity of Libyan society. We're bribing the BBC to cover Libya better? Why? $1 million for a gay group in Armenia. There it is. We paid $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street.
Welcome to Hannity, and the Trump White House is off to a lightning start fast. Don't blink, you probably will miss a massive development. In fact, no one in the state-run legacy media mob or the Democratic Party, they can't really keep up with the speed of Donald Trump. They just know how to feign outrage every second of every day. That's all they know. Now, there have been dozens of critical executive orders, diplomacy all over the globe, confirmations across the board, including Attorney General Pam Bondi, who will join us in just a moment for her first interview as Attorney General. We have also witnessed a multi-front effort to demolish woke politics, restore integrity and fairness at every federal institution. But perhaps President Trump's most consequential action was tapping Elon Musk to lead the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short. Now, according to Democrats and their friends in the legacy media mob, Elon Musk, he's a dangerous man with bad intentions, an unelected billionaire who's looking out for himself. One Democrat even suggesting he wants your money. Trust me, Elon doesn't want or need your money. He's got plenty. So tonight, we're going to set the record straight. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, and there's a reason. He's brilliant. He's a self-made billionaire, a first-generation immigrant from South Africa. He embodies all things that are the American dream. Whether you realize it or not, your life has been impacted by Elon Musk. He helped to revolutionize electronic banking with PayPal. He created a new form of high-speed internet using low-orbit satellites, making fast, reliable internet accessible anywhere on Earth. Pretty amazing. Musk even rushed Starlink terminals, you might recall, to North Carolina, Tennessee after Hurricane Helene, providing the only form of communication in that emergency in the aftermath. And he did the same for the people of California after the wildfires. Musk also reinvented space travel. It's called SpaceX. And soon, probably within the next month or so, Elon Musk will literally be rescuing astronauts, but he's also going to send Americans will be landing on Mars. And in the coming months, SpaceX will rescue those astronauts that Biden and Harris abandoned and stranded at the International Space Station. Musk also spearheaded the development of affordable, high-performance electric vehicles through Tesla, which you would kind of think, Green New Deal Democrats, they'd love electric vehicles. Apparently not, because he supports Donald Trump. But that's not all. Through Tesla, he has also transformed American manufacturing. There's also Musk's life-altering Neuralink, the boring company that could one day solve all our traffic problems. He's also provided real freedom of speech on X and so much more. I mean, the guy's a force of nature. There's no doubt about it. Brilliant. We're lucky to have him. And the truth is, Musk doesn't need to work for free for Donald Trump and the federal government and the American people. He doesn't have to work another day in his life. He's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. He doesn't need to lift a finger. As Donald Trump would say, he could be on a tropical beach somewhere enjoying life. Instead, he's in the Washington swamp. He is serving his country. He's poring over numbers and data and wading through our federal bureaucracy. He is rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. And he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it. It's your money that he's finding that is being abused. Elon Musk loves the country. He's giving back. He knows that this is the last best place God ever gave man. This is the place where dreams can actually come true. But Washington's out-of-control bureaucracy is, of course, standing in the way. And regulations and the taxes and the abuse, this is all, look at that, this is all your hard-earned tax dollars being spent abroad. It's insane. This is madness. And but for Elon Musk exposing all of this corruption, you would probably never know. You know, look at the corruption. Years unelected federal bureaucrats and elected officials, they have been wasting your hard-earned money in ways that are unimaginable for their power, not even in our country, but around the globe. You know, on bizarre far-left pet projects, all to advance their radical Green New Deal agenda, their woke policies, DEI, transgenderism, LGBTQ plus initiatives. What Musk and his team at DOGE uncovered at USAID alone, and there's going to be a lot more to come, this is the tip of the iceberg, should shock the conscience of every American. This is a waste of your money. They're stealing from your children and grandchildren. They're stealing your money. And among the billions in these woke projects abroad and DEI seminars and transgender plays, USAID also reportedly spent $10 million on meals for al-Qaeda-linked terrorists. This is by far, and if we had real media and journalism wasn't dead, this is the biggest financial scandal in the history of our country. Not millions of dollars, but tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars for these foreign countries. And remember, we have nearly $40 trillion in debt. Instead of being thankful to Elon Musk, Democrats are livid. They are angry. They are furious at him for exposing their corruption. He exposed the Democrats, wasting your money, your billions and billions of hard-earned dollars on foreign woke radicalism. And for this, they hate him. They also hate him for liking and working for free. He's not getting paid for Donald Trump. And meanwhile, Joe Biden spent, we have now discovered, a whopping $236 billion on improper payments last year alone. That's $250 billion. We have homeless veterans freezing to death in the cold. We have Americans living paycheck to paycheck. 56% of Americans cannot withstand a $1,000 emergency. They don't have the money to pay for it. Violent criminal, illegal immigrants are inside our country. They're using your taxpayer money as well. Democrats are mad at Elon Musk for trying to hold our elected and unelected government bureaucrats accountable for this waste, fraud, and abuse. You know, that's exactly what President Trump was elected to do, and they're doing it. Take a look.
I don't think I really grasped it until Elon's 6 wizards, he brought in some young wizards to go in there and go over the books, and they are just finding crazy. It's very strange that the media is ignoring it, especially the left-wing media. It's just too big of a win for the right. And so they're just ignoring it. There's so much they haven't even tapped into where they think the real motherload of fraud is.
Now, Joe Rogan is dead on right. And by the way, this is not a constitutional crisis. This is a return to constitutional order. This is a return to limited government, greater freedom. In other words, the principles espoused and envisioned by our founders and our framers. Let me walk my Democratic friends through all of this in simple terms. Kamala Harris lost. Donald Trump is president. He's the head of the executive branch. He sets the agenda. He was appointed by the American people and elected by the American people to do it. He appointed Elon Musk to root out this waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption. And now Trump is parting ways with federal employees who are unwilling or unable to carry out the agenda the American people elected him to perform, along with those that have corrupted our institutions, our FBI, our DOJ, our intelligence community. Bye-bye. You know, he's being a good steward of your hard-earned tax dollars. Remember, think about this. With all that waste, fraud, and abuse, hundreds, tens and tens of billions of dollars. The average American makes $66,000 a year. You work hard, you pay your taxes, you obey the laws, you play by the rules, and that's how they spend your money? Excuse me, you deserve a refund. The Democrats currently throw on a temper tantrum It only exposes how, frankly, pathetic and corrupt they truly are. Of course, they're also incompetent. And let not your heart be troubled. Musk and his team at DOGE, they will be successful one way or the other. He's not going to be intimidated by the likes of Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer and, radical Democrats screaming a constitutional crisis because they've been exposed. And Musk is not the only person working hard to hold our government accountable. Newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bondi. Wow, she's hit the ground running with her own shock and awe. In the past 24 hours, she traveled to New Orleans to coordinate security for the Super Bowl. She also filed a lawsuit against Chicago and Illinois over their sanctuary city policies. Other day one directives included an effort to end the weaponization of our legal system. She also reinstated the federal death penalty. She terminated DEI at the DOJ, paused funding for sanctuary cities, and vowed to work with the Department of Homeland Security to completely eliminate drug cartels in our country. Needless to say, Democrats are already, smearing Pam Bondi for doing a great job. Take a look.
Essentially, Pam Bondi's first act in office is to order an investigation of the January 6th and the classified documents prosecution of Donald Trump. That is an outrageous thing to do on your first day.
She said, Pam Bondi did during her confirmation hearing, she would be looking forward, seemed to suggest that she would not be targeting any employees, that she was just going to do the work of the justice system. But in her first act as Attorney General, promising to investigate the investigators of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, that message is pretty clear.
If anybody is weaponizing these two agencies, it's the people who are about to take over. And I note that the Pam Bondi, she just created a weaponizing task force. What the heck is that? Except, once again, turning inward and looking at the people, the brave people who are working in the DOJ and FBI, and looking at them saying, are you next? These are crazy times.
Now, after the 2024 election, anger, loathing, rage are the only things the Democrats have left. Of course, Pam Bondi will have a tough road ahead, according to border czar Tom Homan. The violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua was tipped off by someone prior to ICE raids that were to take place in Denver. Now Tom Homan is vowing to fight back. Take a look.
We're not going to tolerate it anymore. This is not a game. When we show up these sites, this is a dangerous job for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and all the DOJ agencies. To have that type of interference puts our officers at great risk. Not only the officers, it puts the aliens at great risk because anything can happen when we take our eyes off the goal here. So we're addressing that immediately today. It's not a joke. This is serious business, and they need to stop or we won't prosecute them through the Department of Justice.
So tonight, the big question, how will Bondi work with the DHS to fix our broken immigration system while also making much-needed reforms to the DOJ to stop its weaponization, rooting out those who are actively working against the Trump administration?
Your adulation, it's almost getting boring. Happy Thursday, everyone. So Mitch McConnell is reportedly fine after falling down the stairs. Medical personnel credit his hard shell. CBS has released their full unedited 60-minute interview with Kamala Harris. Apparently, they left out a part where Kamala said she was allergic to mold, which could explain why you rarely saw her standing next to Joe Biden. Now, we're not sure how much they doctored the chat, but they left out the clip of her arriving to the interview by boat. As you know, Sunday is the Super Bowl, which means shut up. Which means in less than 48 hours, J.B. Pritzker will start filling his hot tub with ranch dressing. For the big game, the NFL will remove the words "end racism" from the end zone to be replaced by something more appropriate. Daniel Penny has landed a new job in finance at a major firm. They already have a sign up that says, if choking, do not let Daniel apply the Heimlich. Apparently, the Biden administration and USAID authorized $20 million to create a version of Sesame Street in Iraq. In this version, when the Cookie Monster steals cookies, they cut off his hands. He's still happy, though. 10 Tren de Aragua gangbangers were among the first criminals loaded onto a plane and shipped to Gitmo. When they arrived, the concierge said their room wouldn't be ready till 1, but they could enjoy a complimentary waterboarding on the house. Ron DeSantis is pushing for a tax holiday with no sales tax on guns and ammo in Florida. He calls it Second Amendment summer. Hell, for me, every summer is Second Amendment summer with these guns. And that is not AI. All right. So we've all heard about DOGE, the new agency aimed at cutting the fat in our government. Now, to be fair, Trump already managed to cut a lot already. But there's plenty more to go. And in fact, it's such a good idea, you got to ask yourself, why stop at government? Why not the media? And then cut the stuff nobody wants, right? I love how they're only upset about Jesse. I knew that was going to happen. So funny. But when you think about it, there is so much waste. And a true audit on the media industrial complex might finally expose the incestuous relationship between that and the Dems they serve. Well, it appears to be happening. And once again, it's thanks to the orange wrecking ball. Exhibit A, Donald Trump's case against the committee that chooses the Pulitzer Prizes. Turns out that after the Pulitzer Committee gave their 2018 award for national reporting to the Washington Post and the New York Times for reporting the Russiagate hoax as real, you know, when they should have won in the category of fiction, Trump sued not the paper, but the Pulitzer. Or Pulitzer. Who gives a Now, Trump wasn't looking for money. What he really wanted was to show that the award committee and their media were in bed together like Anna Navarro and a tub of whipped Velveeta. For example, Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson chaired the same committee that gave his own paper the Pulitzer for bogus reporting. I've seen less favoritism when Jesse writes books about himself. But it wasn't just Robinson. According to the Washington Free Beacon, journalists and execs from the New York Times, NPR, Bloomberg, USA Today also served on the board. It was one big circle jerk, which is coincidentally my nickname for Jay Pritzker. So yesterday, Trump won a major victory. A judge found enough for the case to go forward, which means the discovery phase is coming, meaning all the emails about the Russiagate stories could get exposed, thus showing and proving yet again it was a bigger sham than Elizabeth Warren's collection of tomahawks. But Trump's doging of the media is far from done. You know 60 Minutes, a show where instead of using makeup artists, they use morticians. Thanks to Trump's lawsuit against CBS, the network had to release the full transcript of the Kamala Harris interview they did before the election. And the interview got more surgery than Nancy Pelosi's face and Dick Cheney's heart combined. What's your problem? Watch.
It's going to be taxes. It's going to be literally, if the economists, I mean, they're from each the spectrum.
But I hear what you're saying about the economists.
You must be very thoughtful about how you use that microphone in front of you. And, when I was Attorney General, the words I spoke could move markets. You know what Picture Day is for our children? They get excited the night before. You put out the clothes they're going to wear. They go to school making sure their faces are clean and their hair is done. And they go to school for Picture Day. And you know what happened to these children? They had to evacuate that day because of the fear of the threats that were being issued in Springfield because of the words of Donald Trump.
Nearly all their commentary on foreign affairs, including on Israel and Iran, were also cleaned up. I haven't seen a turd get this polished since Jim Acosta got a facial. Did it work? Well, Kamala isn't president. But you can't say they didn't try. Meanwhile, Trump just settled with ABC News for $15 million. Meta just settled with him for $25 million. CBS parent company Paramount is reportedly considering a similar payout. Pretty soon, Trump will be able to afford Bret Baier's house. Trump also sued the Des Moines Register and veteran pollster Ann Seltzer for claiming Kamala was leading him in the Iowa polls. Makes sense. We all knew that poll was nuttier than a pic from Mr. Peanut. But it didn't stop the media from reporting it like it was real. So it's kind of fun watching Trump set his sights on these fools. God forbid they open the books on The View. You'll probably find secret payments to ham hocks by mail. Meanwhile, the old guard is fleeing. Andrea Mitchell says she's bailing on MSNBC for better opportunities. And why not? I'm sure there's a science museum somewhere that needs a medical skeleton. Terrible. Acosta just left CNN, a shock to CNN, who had no idea he still worked there. Chuck Todd is gone, seeking better opportunities as the before picture for the Hair Club for Men. So as Fox's numbers are never better, the competition dropped like turds out of a donkey's ass. And why? Well, the coup failed. One thing we learned from DOGE is that our government loves to create artificial instability in other countries. Under the guise of aid, they enlist activists, the media, and aim to silence dissent through censorship outfits. It's pretty clear now that they weren't just doing this in places like the Ukraine. They were doing it here, too. The government and media gymmed up 4 years of conflict, all to install a puppet. But it didn't work. Trump won. And now the people behind it, they aren't working either. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's got lots of style and keeps his cash in a pile. Host of Making Money on Fox Business, Charles Payne. She covers the polls like hot butter on rolls, Republican strategist Aaron Perini. He looks like a roadie for a Loverboy tribute band, comedian Adam Hunter. And we're prepared for the worst because she's ready to burst. New York Times bestselling author. Charles, wow, with that's the Kamala interview. Could you imagine if she had won? Jesus.
Man, we dodged the bullet.
Yes.
I mean, really.
Trump dodged the bullet, but we really dodged the bullet.
America dodged the bullet. Yeah, I mean, are you kidding me? Everything would be upside down. But, it's so funny how life is. The last song I was listening to music right before coming into the studio, the last song I heard was Wrapped Around Your Finger. Mm-hmm. And the line, right? I will turn your face to alabaster. Mm-hmm. When you find your servant is your master.
Wow.
Trump should call the media every day and sing that to him. He should call CNN, MSNBC, CBS, because he won. He won, and guess what? The American public won.
You know what? I feel like I just won. You were the Barry White of Fox News. Remember Barry White?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oh, jeez,
I got lucky a few times at Barry White. Not with him, but his music.
Yeah. I'm glad you made that clear.
It's a hell of a sight to see. I had to clean that up quick. I know some people go to dinner after this, so.
Aaron, so what did you think of what's happening with the media now in Trump? It's kind of interesting because they always talk about they want transparency in media, and now he's delivering.
Yeah, I actually think that this is a great strategy for anybody who does an interview or works in politics, any politician. Record every interview you do. And if media wants to restore any level of credibility, the legacy media, the left-leaning legacy media, they should always release every transcript and every full interview. I don't know why they wouldn't. Yeah. If you are giving people the space to say you're not being truthful, then give them the opportunity to read all of it. But the media is so entrenched in the left-wing propaganda that they try to push and in trying to stop Donald Trump. You've seen it since 2015, and they failed time and again. Why? Because they think the American people are idiots. And I don't mean that rudely, but they do. Because if they thought the American people were smart, they wouldn't try to pull one over with you to make you think that Kamala Harris should have been president of the United States. She shouldn't have been. She didn't have a policy platform, and she couldn't even articulate why she wanted to be president, let alone the fact that she had been vice president for the largest disaster of a presidency in modern times. But they didn't want you to see that.
So true. Adam, I have a challenge for you.
Yes.
How can you turn Trump's recent success into a plethora of gross, dirty, and disturbing jokes?
Funny you should ask, Greg. But I look, because of Trump, the media is being exposed more than Kanye's wife. But
there's one.
It's like
there's one.
I mean, they bury the Russia hoax story, right? But then they put out this story, which is like, I mean, that means again, okay, they bury the Hunter Biden story, but then they put out this story. Meanwhile, like Hunter saw more crack than Joy Behar's toilet seat.
Keep going.
They give an NRA, I mean, they basically, the Pulitzer Prize to a fake news story.
Yeah.
That's like the NRA giving a hunting award to Alec Baldwin, you know?
It makes sense.
Or like Diddy winning the Teen Choice Awards, you know?
He had his choice of teens.
Good point, good point. But I just like, who gave him the award? Like George Santos? That was great. Cat?
Cat, what say you?
Yes.
Isn't it funny, though, that we always knew the Pulitzer Prizes were bull?
Oh, yeah, of course, because we've never gotten one.
Yes.
For the hard-hitting journalism that is this show.
That expose we did on the Canadian shop teacher with the fake breasts, nobody was following that story except for us.
I would say it's actually even fair to say except for you.
Yes.
I was forced to follow it.
Yes.
By you.
Giant-boobed lady man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're really just, but I think that there really are just two Americas. I think that there's people that haven't seen this, and then there's people that will just point out only the more ridiculous aspects of Trump, some of his lawsuits, which there were ridiculous ones, of course. When he said CBS, he said the Kamala interview cost him $10 billion in damages, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there's also people who, obviously that interview, you have to acknowledge, was edited in her favor. If they were really sitting down and Trump was mumbling and stumbling like that, would they have cut that out? I believe no. But I think it's just we're in this media now where it's like, okay, if you say something positive about Trump, then you're a Trump lackey. If you say something negative about Trump, then you're anti-Trump. It's the more independent, uncut, unedited thought we can get out there, I think the better.
I disagree. I don't. I just thought I'd say I disagreed. Okay, we got to move on. Up next, the NFL decides to yield over a phrase on the field.